One thing I've stated many times before I love about TikTok, that TikTok allows people to have confessionals about a lot of times their own group. Case in point, you have this white man, and he's going to talk about, what really happens when a black person leaves the room. Let's go ahead and roll that.
Really? You ever been in the room after the last black person walked out? It's not a pretty sight. I wouldn't count on any Asians, Latinos, or Middle Easterns to stand up for you either. Because around you, it might end with A, but when they just around white people, it usually ends in ER. And that's how racist white people are, specifically towards black people. Other marginalized groups feel they can get a step up if they talk shit about you too.
Well, of course, some people may say, well, yeah, I kind of knew that, some of that already. But usually, if you are in tune, with the Lord and your spirit is real heightened, you can pick up on the vibe they're giving you without them saying a word. How many times have, as black people, we walked in a room and we just look at them and you just know by just the vibe they're giving you. They don't like black people. They talk about black people. They say the N-word at their house. You just know. You know. Now, the part that really I want to focus on, he talked about these other groups.
I wouldn't count on any Asians, Latinos, or Middle Easterns to stand up for you either. Because around you, it might end with A, but when they just around white people, it usually ends in ER. And that's how racist white people are, specifically towards black people. Other marginalized groups feel they can get a step up if they talk shit about you too.
These other groups, as he said, and I've talked about this many times before, they get in and play footsies with the white supremacists. And in order to be in good with the white supremacists, you have to have a hatred for black people. So as you heard, he said you can't depend on these other groups to stand up for black people because they're up here calling black people the N-word too, with the white supremacists. But he even tell you that. He say in hopes that basically they can get a leg up with the white supremacists. Now this man is saying it. You think the rest of them don't know that? But they use that to their advantage to get more people on their team to attack black people. And then when these white supremacists who know these other groups are doing this anti-black racism just to get on their team, they really don't like the white supremacists like that, but they're up here going to do that. The white supremacists know he can't trust them. At the end of the day, he know he can't. So they like to play footsies with the white supremacists. Then when the white supremacists burn them and show them who they really are and put them in their place.
Really? You ever been in the room after the last black person walked out? It's not a pretty sight. I wouldn't count on any Asians, Latinos, or Middle Easterns to stand up for you either. Because around you, it might end with A, but when they just around white people, it usually ends in ER. And that's how racist white people are, specifically towards black people. Other marginalized groups feel they can get a step up if they talk shit about you too.
Then they want to come to black folks later. Hey, we need to unite. Look how racist the white supremacists are. Oh my God, black people, you were right the whole time. Oh, now we was right. But the other day, you was calling us the N-word with the white supremacists. And now since he turned on you, now all of a sudden you talking about black people were right, talking about George Floyd and everything else. That's why a lot of black people now say, nah, we good. We good. What's the word? Let me think. Felix Tijerina. Let me quote him. When he talked about having to unite with black people, he said this: the Negroes, let them deal with their own problems. I don't want to unite with them. That's just that simple paraphrasing, of course. So what black people are saying today is this: deal with your own problem. We don't want to unite with you. It's just that simple. And not because black people didn't want to have any kind of coalition, because black people begged for coalitions, beg for years for coalitions. And now black people have finally realized that these other groups of people felt playing footsie with white supremacy was a lot better than actually having a coalition with the true freedom fighters of America. And now the white supremacists is gonna burn them all, and they're not gonna have no backup. See, at one point in time, they would have had some backup.
Really? You ever been in the room after the last black person walked out? It's not a pretty sight. I wouldn't count on any Asians, Latinos, or Middle Easterns to stand up for you either. Because around you, it might end with A, but when they just around white people, it usually ends in ER. And that's how racist white people are, specifically towards black people. Other marginalized groups feel they can get a step up if they talk shit about you too.
But they chose the white supremacists over having a true ally who had a history of fighting the white supremacists from day one. It's probably gonna get bad for some of them. They're gonna leave America. That's what they'll do because they're used to running from their countries. They'll just leave America. They're not gonna deal with it. Now, I will say this. Y'all can talk about us all you want. We know, listen, we know we live rent-free in your head. We know. If black people aren't around, y'all, listen, we cannot even be in the city with you and you will still bring us up. On this same channel, I had done a video about a white woman that came from Memphis, Tennessee, and she had moved to Seattle, Washington. And she even said that she did not like being around her own people. And they always talking about black people. And Seattle, Washington don't have this huge black population, let's say like a Houston or an Atlanta would have. And yet these people are still talking about black people. In the sticks of rural America where some of them live, no black folks around them, they're still talking about black people. They can't help but talk about black people. But we know this with the white supremacists. We know they are obsessed with us with a sick obsession, sick. But these other groups, and I'm glad that this man telling on y'all publicly and saying how y'all be all buddy with them with some anti-black racism just to get ahead. And anytime the white supremacists burn y'all, you know how we talk about with black people getting burned by white supremacists? You know, everybody call it the Negro wake-up call or, you know, something to that effect. Well, y'all getting y'all's too. And we love to see it. I love to see you get your wake-up call. Because black folks tried to get along with you, wanted to be cool with you, and you didn't want it. So, hey, you're on your own. But let me know what y'all think about what this man is saying, you know. And of course, like I said, once again, a lot of us knew this, but it just lets you know what these other groups are doing when we're not around.